Hello, I'm back and I'm doing reviews of game ones around the league, and I'm doing my predictions. So, I'll start with the Western Conference. San Antonio did not play well against the Golden State Warriors, and in this game, Klay Thompson went off, and Kevin Durant had a solid game. Solid all-around game, and it was pretty much what I expected. Everybody's been saying how invaluable Kevin Durant is compared to Steph on this team, and I'm not hating on Steph. Steph is they are definitely better without Durant than they are without Steph, but that was just season boredom. I mean, obviously, they've come to play, and I expect them to wrap this series up in about 5 games, I estimate. I think San Antonio will be able to get a game off them at home, but I think Golden State will win this one in 5. Next is the Houston Rockets and Timberwolves. This game was a good game, and James Harden was spectacular. But I do think this will be a series. I do believe the Wolves will get a couple games off the Rockets, but I ultimately believe the Rockets will close it out in 6. The Wolves did a great job of battling in the game to stay in the game, but the Rockets were able to pull away late, and James Harden just went bananas. I mean, absolute bonkers. Like, ridiculously hot. Like, ridiculously on fire. I do think the Wolves will be able to... I don't believe he'll be able to play that way every game of the series, but I do believe the Wolves will steal 2, and this will be over in 6. Next, we got the OKC Thunder and the Utah Jazz. Now, in this one, Donovan Mitchell was impressive, but just not enough to endure the onslaught of Paul George's offensive brilliance in this game. Melo was okay, and Russell was very good. The Utah Jazz just didn't have enough firepower to keep up with that, seeing as their leading scorer is a 20-point per game scorer. But yeah, I expect OKC Thunder to wrap this one up in 6. I expect the Jazz to adjust and put up a good fight and bring this series to 6, but I think the experience of the OKC Thunder will help them prevail. Next, we got the Pelicans and Blazers game. Now, I'm not going to lie, this one I thought the Blazers would cream the Pelicans. But Anthony Davis is that dude. He is spectacular. And honestly, he should have got more consideration for MVP. I still think Harden deserves it, but I think Anthony Davis should have got more consideration. People were placing LeBron at 2. I believe LeBron would be at 3, not 2. But the Pelicans were up pretty big, and they almost choked away their lead. So I expect this series to go Portland in 6. I expect Portland to not shoot as bad as they did from all their stars. I expect them to come out and at least 2 of their stars be brilliant. And I believe they have the advantage and will win this in 6. Now we're on to the Eastern Conference. And the Eastern Conference is actually a little underrated this year. It's just there's a lot of inexperience. And the experienced teams in the East tend to be chokers. But the Toronto Raptors and the Washington Wizards. Now this one, I'm going for upset. I think the Wizards will win. Even though they lost game 1, I believe that they will win this in 6 or 7 games, and if I have to put money on it, it's 7. They'll win this in 7. Most of the game was close, but the bench mob of the Raptors won this game for them. I'm just tired of season after season this Toronto team flaming out, and I just think that's who they are, and that's what I expect in this first round. Like, for them to get swept by the Cavs last year is unacceptable. They're intimidated with LeBron. They don't go into a game thinking, alright, let's get LeBron. They go into a game thinking, oh, I wish I didn't have to play against LeBron. Like, they don't have that competitive spirit when it comes to LeBron. And they tend to, Lowry and DeRozan didn't even show up in the first half of this game. They finally showed up in the second half. And that was because all the pressure they put on themselves with that dumb idea to make this like a game 7. Even though they backed it up and won, I still think that was why they performed poorly in the first half. Was they don't perform well under pressure, and then they put the most pressure on themselves. But yeah, the Toronto Raptors, everybody's bought in, and Max Kellerman keeps saying they're going to beat the Cavs in 7. I don't think so. I don't even think they'll take the Cavs. I think 5 games against the Cavs would be the most they would take the Cavs. But yeah, I have the Wizards winning the series in 7. Next, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers and Indiana Pacers. And this game, I thought it'd be close, but it does not shock me that the Pacers won. I totally believe this will be LeBron's hardest year getting out of the East, if he makes it out. I believe he'll make it out with all the inexperienced teams and the injuries to the Boston Celtics. But mark my words, it would not shock me at all if the Pacers won this in 6. Now, I'm picking Cavs in 6 because I believe LeBron's been through too much adversity in his career. He's overcome too much adversity for this to be the end. But would I be shocked at all if the Pacers actually won this series? No, I won't. I was actually surprised by how nobody was giving the Pacers a chance. And the Cavs start Love at center, which I find foolish going against Miles Turner. Kevin Love's not quick enough or big enough to guard Miles Turner. And I really think they need to start Thompson or start Lance or someone else at center to be able to keep up with the firepower of the Indiana Pacers. If the Indiana Pacers if the Cavs keep Love in, they can go at that matchup. They really got a shot in this series. And no, I would not be shocked. I believe LeBron's an all-time great. I do believe he's a top 5 all-time player. I do believe he's in the top 5. But I am not fond of how the media gives him this narrative that he's invincible and that he himself has beat all these teams in the East. Whenever there's been injuries and he's had stacked teams, until this year his team isn't completely stacked, and we see how hard it's been on the team this year. But if he goes down in the first round, I mean, I do expect the excuses he's already made excuses, and I believe it would be a stain on his legacy, honestly, if he goes down like this. Because I hope he does, not because of him, but because it will make all the fans in the media that are professional LeBron fans, that's what they are, like Kyle Hurd, Although Cowherd makes some good points about other topics. And Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp, again, they all make good points about other topics, but when it comes to LeBron, they push this narrative that he carried the Miami Heat. He carried every team he was on. And the Miami Heat, they cite the Miami Heat not making the playoffs the year LeBron left, but what they don't tell you is the Heat, Wade and Bosch went down that year. Wade and Bosch went down, and the Heat got the draft pick to draft Justice Winslow. And the year after, that Dwayne Wade was fully healthy, and Chris Bosh was not fully healthy for the season, and was never healthy again. They were a game away from the conference finals, which they would have beat Toronto had Hassan Whiteside played that year. In Game 7 he played, but he didn't play in Game 7. And they started Winslow at center. So that is completely fiction, that the Heat are a lottery team without LeBron, and he was all the difference in the world on that team. However, I do think LeBron has overcome many obstacles in his career. He's been he's overcome a lot, and I just don't see this being the end. So I'm going Cavs in 6. Now on to my team, the Boston Celtics. I honestly didn't think they had much of a chance in this series, but they played really well in Game 1. A couple calls went their way, but I really am kind of surprised that Milwaukee wasn't able to win that game. I thought after Middleton's tying 3, after Rozier's incredible shake him off his balance 3, I thought that the Celtics would devastate them, and they wouldn't, but they actually fought in overtime and won this game. And I really am excited for what Jason Tatum will become in the next year or two. It's questionable even if they could trade him for Anthony Davis or Kawhi Leonard, if they should, because I honestly think he's going to be that dude. He's going to be that good. But I honestly, this is a hard call for me. I'm going to go Milwaukee in 7. I think Milwaukee will win this in 7 games. Though I hope I'm wrong. It would be interesting to see what the banged up Celtics could do against the Sixers or Heat, whoever comes out of that. But yeah, I'm a little biased when it comes to the Celtics. I really want to pick them, but I just think they're not going to be able to sustain that level of play from Horford, Tatum, and Jalen, and Rozier. I don't think they're going to get all 4 of them to be able to play that good for an entire series. I believe they will at some of the games in the series, and I just have a hard time seeing the Celtics. I mean, this will be a stain on Giannis Antetokounmpo, because this is the perfect opportunity for him. And if he can't beat this banged up Celtics team, it's looking like he's never going to go far in the playoffs. Max Kellerman was saying he thinks there'll be a Buck dynasty last year because their breakout year, but it's not looking that way. So we'll see. I got Milwaukee in 7. Now on to the Sixers and Heat. Now this one, Miami was actually up by like 12 before the half. And then they squandered that lead, and then Philly ran away with it in the third and fourth. But I've seen game 2, so I'll give my reaction to game 2, the game 2s after I see all the game 2s. So I know that Miami evened it up with Dwayne Wade, going vintage Dwayne Wade. But I expect this series to go 7, and I'm gonna go Philly in 7. I just see the Heat as a very scrappy team. They're one of my favorite teams to watch. With League Pass, I watched them probably the second most to the Boston Celtics. Probably Golden State Warriors at third. But I really expect a good fight from them in this series because they're really scrappy and they have a bunch of really good players. They don't have stars, but they have a bunch of really good players. Although Hassan Whiteside's a borderline all-star. But I really expect this to go all the way to 7. And hopefully it's a good series so far. Well, that's it. That's my Game 1's reactions. I will be doing the Game 2 reactions. And that is also my predictions. And we'll see how many of these pan out. Alright, later.